This is Corner Talk.
What's going on, guys? It's UFC Pap. I am here with my regular co-host who was unfortunately not here last week, UFC Zach. We had a good replacement, man. I don't know if you saw the episode, but we had MMA DBM come on. He gave some great breakdowns. I think out of all the fights that we broke down, we literally only missed one. The rest of our predictions were pretty spot on. Yeah, man, it was a sharp week. Made a decent amount of money betting on the fights, and it was overall a pretty good time. How's your vacation going?
It's going great. I'm glad I can still try and squeeze in the time to be with you guys for the podcast. I'm glad you guys were able to get a good replacement last week and get some sharp picks out there. Never had any doubt, though.
Hell yeah, for sure. Let's just go right into it. So last week on the card, man, this guy is gonna be a problem. No, so there we go. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Yeah, this guy's gonna be a problem, bro. He came out there. I knew that Melsik Bagdasaryan obviously is not the highest level grappler out there. He showed that is a weakness in his skill set. And Magomedov went out there, literally took him down in a minute, went straight for the sub, got the Scottish twister, and in impressive fashion, got the finish. I'm really excited to see how far this guy can go. He's 11-0. Obviously, this was his debut in the UFC. He got the finish in the first round. I don't know, man. Featherweight is like a tough division, but I think that this guy, with his grappling pedigree, I think he can go far. I would love to see some more of his striking at the UFC level. But did you get a chance to see this fight?
Yeah, no, I thought it was definitely it's quite the statement to make coming out for your debut. Hitting a twister is crazy, but then he hits this variation of twister that I wasn't even sure what happened at first. I thought he was about to, just escape having his back taken and like just be in his guard. But then the next thing I know, the fight's ending because he's tapping. And I was like, what the hell? They run it back and you see that, he's twisting his back all up. And it's like, oh, shit. Yeah, it's definitely a very impressive submission. I can't wait to see what comes next for this guy.
Yeah, this is actually one of the coolest submissions that I've seen. It's actually been a while, been around for a while now. Um, Jake Hadley just hit it in PFL not too long ago, and it's one of those submissions that surprisingly is actually very easy to set up, but a lot of people don't go for it. I'm sure, seeing Magomedov get it now in the UFC, and then now, Jake Hadley got it recently. I think we're going to start seeing it probably more frequently until people realize, don't put yourself in that position. But I like it. It's a sneaky sub. And let's talk about this next fight. We had Vinicius Oliveira versus Andre Fili. Vinicius went out there and, like I thought, pressured Andre Fili early, really had no respect for what Fili was throwing his way. But there was like some odd things that happened in that first round. I know you said you didn't get to see the complete fight, but I'll give you the quick rundown. Basically, Vinicius came out. He was aggressive as usual. He was landing some big shots, but then like it's at one moment he threw a couple of calf kicks that I don't know if Fili checked or if they just landed incorrectly. I know Fili did check some of them, but Oliveira just like he started limping, like something hurt him. And while he was trying to kind of get his bearings back, he also got caught a few times on the feet. And then he, going into the second round, started throwing the same kicks. So clearly, he wasn't completely compromised. But he did get rocked in the first round. I think he got dropped. I don't remember for sure if it was technically a drop, but he was definitely rocked. But of course, as I expected, Oliveira eventually, started landing bigger shots on Fili. You could tell Fili was starting to feel it. He was landing some big shots to Fili's body. And then, he hit him with the nasty elbow. Some people say is illegal. Unfortunately, Herb Dean was also the ref of this fight. So not really helping Herb Dean's case right now with the whole, White House situation and now this. But, yeah, man, I'm impressed by Oliveira. I do think that, he's starting to get closer to his ceiling. I do think that he's probably going to have some problems, at featherweight fighting, some of the top 10 guys. But I like these fights. I think that Oliveira, if he keeps fighting these guys that are willing to stand and bang with him, we're gonna continue getting exciting fights. And yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds for him. Let's move on to this next fight because I really want to talk about this. C-Rod. We broke it down last week. DBM and I basically were saying that, Hyder Emil, if he came out too aggressive, he was going to get caught. He got caught. I actually thought it was going to take longer. I thought that Hyder's cardio was going to at least take it to the second round. That's not what happened. C-Rod caught him with a head kick early, jumped on the choke. I think it was like a ninja choke variation, or maybe it was a anaconda. I don't remember, but what was that?
Irish guillotine.
Yeah, I don't remember because there's another photo of him or whatever after he like basically went to sleep. It looked like his arm was in, so it looked like maybe an anaconda, but regardless, he found the submission, choked Hyder Emil out unconscious in like seconds. Obviously Hyder Emil was still dazed from the head kick that landed right on the chin. And big impressive win for C-Rod. I kind of suspected this just because C-Rod is one of those guys that, like, he doesn't look like a world beater, but he's extremely well-rounded. He's good everywhere, and he has good fight IQ as well. So I'm excited to see what C-Rod, does from here forward. I think that there's some exciting fights in this weight class, and I don't know, man. C-Rod could be a problem if he keeps fighting like this. Who knows, man? Maybe he'll be, higher in the rankings soon. But what did you think of this fight?
I want to see him get another undefeated scout, dude. I love having that boogeyman that's just taking people's I'm just going to see him get back in the win column. I think it was like a little 2-fight skid he was on. I personally, I like C-Rod. You can't have, everyone can't be Sean O'Malley. You can't have the machine behind you be a superstar. And I mean, he's definitely gotten a lot of hype because of the O's he's taken. And I just like knowing that there's that kind of boogeyman out there that's like, oh, match him up against this guy. Like, he's gives me like Danny EA energy almost. It's like he's a real test for a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I also think that like maybe he doesn't have a lot of public favor yet because of, obviously taking a couple of undefeated guys O's. I think that those guys that he beat, they had a decent following, or they had some decent hype that a lot of people were like, oh, this guy's undefeated. Let's, jump on the bandwagon. And, seeing C-Rod defeat them, granted, some of those fights weren't the most exciting because it was a lot of, control time and whatnot. I think it kind of just gave the public a bad image of C-Rod, but hey, man, you got to do what you got to do to win against undefeated guys that are dangerous like that. It's extremely impressive, and I think C-Rod found a good home at Extreme Couture. I think Extreme Couture, utilizing C-Rod's fight IQ, I think he's going to be able to go far, so I'm looking forward to his next one. The next fight we had, Navajo Sterling versus Ion Cutelaba. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of disappointed in Sterling's performance. Like, obviously, Cutelaba, he's usually very aggressive round one. Recently, we've seen him, jump to the gilly. Clearly his gilly is really tight because he almost caught Navajo in this guillotine as well. But I was surprised at how gassed Sterling looked. Like, he didn't have to wrestle much or scramble much in this fight, and there were some times where they got separation where Navajo really looked like he was taking some deep breaths. And I don't know, man, going forward, like, Navajo clearly has great striking. He knows what to do defensively in the grappling. I don't know, man. His gas tank is a bit suspect to me. So hopefully they give him, a small step up in the next fight. I don't want to see this guy jump ahead too fast because I do think we would see him get finished. But he got the job done. I don't know what happened to Ion Cutelaba. I know it looked like he got hit with the knee right before this, and he kind of just shelled up, fell down, and Navajo just piled on the strikes. But what did you think of Navajo Sterling's performance?
Honestly, like I stick a feather in his cap on that. That was a real tough spot he was in. He was in really, really tight submissions that a lot of people would have tapped out to, and he that he was anticipated to get. So, I tip my hat to him. Yeah, does he have a lot to learn? Yeah, probably. That experience is definitely showing that he doesn't have it yet. And I tip my hat to Elon for, he has been on that submission streak. It's shown that evolution in his game, and he almost got the huge upset against Navo with it. That being said, do. It felt like at the end he just kind of like he knew he was in a bad spot and that the fight was over right there. And it's like it didn't really seem like he had any urgency to get it up. He's like, "Oh, I'm caught," is almost how it felt.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of seemed like he threw everything that he had, and then he was just kind of like, all right, well, I tried. Time to just, kind of call it. But
Yeah.
moving on, we had Manuel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi. This was the rematch. I'm not gonna lie, I picked Manuel Kape. I was pretty confident that the power was gonna be too much. He's the hardest hitting flyweight. The guy's got crisp striking. He's extremely fast. Kyoji went out there and was game from the jump. Like, Kyoji won. I don't know if he... Matter of fact, let me check this real quick.
Yeah, we had any concern because that was my pick as well, and I felt like, damn, he's winning.
Yeah, I mean, he... Let me see. Scroll down. All right, so the official scorecards, they had... Yeah, 2 out of the 3 judges had Horiguchi for round 1. One of the judges did give it to Manuel Kape. I was gonna say, in my opinion, I thought Manuel Kape won round 1. Granted, I think it was a very close round. The only reason that I do kind of agree that, the judges could have given it to Horiguchi was because he got the takedown with like 15, 20 seconds left. And it kind of, like, optics wise, it kind of solidified that, like, all right, he did a little more that round. But I did think that Manuel Kape looked good round 1. Round 2, yeah, he was getting schooled on. Like, he got rocked multiple times. Horiguchi's control time, he got the takedown. He made it look easy. I was starting to get pretty worried for Manuel Kape. Manuel Kape being the hardest hitting, 125er, round 3 came out, eventually clipped Horiguchi. He found the chin. Horiguchi, kind of fell forward. Manuel Kape was on the back. He was throwing some strikes from the side. And then he just landed that beautiful uppercut from under. Horiguchi basically face planted, and the ref called it. Beautiful performance in that 3rd round for Manuel Kape. It just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter, man. That power is an equalizer. Whether you're a better grappler or a cleaner striker than Manuel Kape, that dude's power is extremely dangerous, and it's always dangerous, regardless of what round of the fight it is. I also selfishly am happy that Manuel Kape won, because I want to see him versus Joshua Van. We were talking about this last week, me and DBM. We were saying that that's probably one of the most exciting fights to make in this weight class. Give Manuel Kape, the title shot. And I think that's going to be, a tough test for Joshua Van, because Joshua Van does get hit a lot. And I think that Manuel Kape has the power to sleep Joshua Van. But, it's only a matter of if Pantoja comes back first and gets the immediate rematch, or, are they going to allow Manuel Kape to skip the line and then give Pantoja, whoever the champ is after that fight? I would assume they're going to give Pantoja the fight first because of how the first fight ended. It only makes sense, give him the guy that he lost to with a freak injury. But regardless, I really want to see Joshua Van versus Manuel Kape. There's clearly bad blood there. They've talked trash to each other online, and I think that's just a striker's delight. I don't think anybody's going to shoot for a takedown in that fight, so I think somebody's going to sleep before round 3. What did you think of Manuel Kape's performance?
Way to rally. Because after that round 2, it was very easy. A lot of fighters could lose composure after a round like that, start really feeling the buildup in the arms and whatnot. But he was able to, keep his composure and still come out and find the KO. And you're absolutely right. No one else at 125 is getting knockouts like that. It's just he touches you, that's death. So I would love to see him versus Joshua Van. The buildup would be crazy. He's got to change the diapers, shit like that. It's funny. I'm all for it. I think Pantoja, though, it's just respectfully, he's got to be next.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I was also telling DBM that, like, The difference between Manel Kape and Joshua Van is Joshua Van will knock you out, but it's a TKO probably, and it's because of volume. Like his hands are so fast, he's gonna hit you with a bunch of shots, and the ref is gonna step in. When Manel Kape knocks you out, you're taking a nap. So that's an exciting fight, but I would have to give Manel Kape the edge there. Um, let's move on to this week's card.
I'll be right back.
All right. All right, sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but all right, let's break down this card real quick. And I'm excited about some of these matchups. So let's start off with Gene Matsumoto versus Almacan. I am really excited for this fight because I think that Gene Matsumoto is he's just like, he's one of those prospects that I love watching because the guy's so well rounded. He reminds me of C-Rod as far as like wherever the fight goes, this guy is extremely talented. The guy's got good grappling, the guy's got amazing striking, and Almacan, I think also he's got great striking as well. But I think Gene Matsumoto defensively is better. I think that Gene Matsumoto puts out a lot more volume. And I think that he fights extremely strategically to where he usually edges out rounds even when they're close just because the volume and the aggression. So I love Gene Matsumoto in this spot. This is honestly my lock of the card. I think he's going to be able to go out there and, just completely outclass Almacan. I do think Almacan's probably going to try to look to wrestle here, but I think Gene Matsumoto, he's got good enough takedown defense. I really like him to probably win by either KO or decision here. How do you see this fight going?
I mean, as you said, he's live anywhere the fight goes. I definitely like him. I think he's very good for the future of the division. I think that he's very active. His cardio is not really a concern to me at all. I can definitely see him edging out a decision. But I mean, he can get a finish. He's got deadly submissions. He's got great hands. He's just really well-rounded. Just a sharp pick.
Yeah, I also like him because he's I think he's like a minus 180 or something, so the line isn't too wide on him. But moving on, we have Daniil Donchenko versus, I don't know how to say this guy's name, Berggren. I'm gonna be honest. I think Donchenko is just gonna run through this guy. I think this is just a setup fight after he beat Morono. I think that this is a fight for Donchenko to go out there and get another impressive finish. But how do you see this one going?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a good layup for him. A lot of people, myself included, were probably expecting him to finish Toronto. And I think that this is just a good way for him to add to the real, to show what those elbows can do. That's one of my favorite things about him. He'll bust you up.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have Con Offley versus Javier Reyes. Honestly, I'm going to go Con Offley here. I am a little worried because his chin sometimes looks suspect, but then sometimes his chin looks solid. The thing I don't like about Reyes here is I think he gets hit a bit too much for my liking. The only thing that makes me cautious about Offley here is obviously there's a significant reach disadvantage and height disadvantage here. So Reyes is going to be the, taller, bigger fighter. I do think at range, Reyes is going to be a bit more of a problem, but I do like Con Offley because I think he's very tactical. He kind of reminds me of like Volk in the way that like he strategically, sets up things. Like if he's going to shoot a takedown, he's, hitting you with shots to kind of distract you, then he shoots. The problem with, Con Offley wrestling here is Reyes is also a good grappler. So I do think that he's kind of fighting a bit of an upward battle here, but I like Con Offley. I think that, he's the better well-rounded fighter here. So give me Con. How do you see this one going?
I do agree. I think Con's more well-rounded, but I just think that Reyes is going to be a big task for him to get. I think that the volume and the reach to a decision.
Okay. Next, we have Nursultan Ruzaboyev versus Pulayev. I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought Ruzaboyev, when he first came into the UFC, was gonna be this like insanely flashy, finisher. Like he has a bunch of submissions on his record. The guy proved that he's got power in the hands, but he's had some duds so far since he's been in the UFC. He's had some boring fights. What was that one fight that like it was so boring? It was damn.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You remember what I'm talking about? It was I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Joaquin Buckley.
I was going to say Buckley held him down.
Yeah, that fight absolutely sucked. Buckley turned into Kamaru Usman, Habib, Islam all in one. I think that's when he kind of started going by like the Buckamedov nickname or whatever.
Also, that was the same card where he said Conor McGregor's grandma was a hoe or something.
Yeah, something like that. I really wasn't impressed with that performance by Ruzaboyev. And then even the Dustin Stoltzfus fight, I thought that, Nursultan should have been able to go in there and put him out. And it was another kind of dud. Pulayev, he's all right. He's not bad. I do think that Ruzaboyev is going to get the win here. I think that, he's going to be able to hopefully show off that grappling pedigree that he had before he came to the UFC. I do think that from range, he's probably going to be able to land some big strikes against Pulayev. I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping it's not another boring fight. But Ruzaboyev is my pick. How do you see this fight going?
I don't know. I feel like Ruzaboyev is only really great against people that he has significant size advantage against. I think Pulayev is probably, because I imagine Ruzaboyev is the favorite. I haven't looked at the odds, but I think Pulayev could potentially get an upset. A lot of those wins on Ruzaboyev's resume, they feel like added from other lesser organizations. A lot of finishes for lesser competition. But I mean, Ruzaboyev does have a ton of experience, and I can likely see him, still adding to it. This is a pick 'em to me, but I think Pulayev, if he's as big of an underdog as usually people are putting Ruzaboyev against them, he's probably got a lot of value.
Ruzaboyev is a almost 3-1 favorite.
What was that?
Ruzaboyev, he's an almost 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, if I was to bet on that, I'd probably pick the other guy just because, as you said, he does have, there are paths to victory against Ruzaboyev.
Yeah, I mean, he went to decision with the Tiba Gaudier, which is more than most people can say. So, defensively, he's clearly pretty sharp. The problem is the grappling for me. I just don't know. I don't know, man. Like, he has 2 submission wins on his record, but against Ruzaboyev, who has trained at Marquez MMA and has trained with the likes of like Pfeiffer and Sean Brady. I don't know. I'd like to think that even though, oh, are you still there?
Yeah, it blacked out for a second.
Yeah, I don't see your image. That's weird. But
I hear you
anyway,
clean now.
All right. Yeah, so I do think that Ruzaboyev probably does actually have good grappling, regardless of like maybe some of the suspect wins on his record. And I think that, if he really wants to win this fight, he should utilize that here. So we'll see. I do agree with you. If you're going to take a bet on this fight, I wouldn't lay, chalk on Ruzaboyev. I would probably take the dog here. But I think it'll be a good competitive fight. Let's see. Next fight, we have Julius Walker versus Yakyaev. Man, this fight for me, I feel bad because I like Julius Walker. He's a nice guy. The guy follows me on Instagram. He's just happy to be in the UFC, And I like watching his training footage. I like the guy. He's just very personable. But Yakayev, he's nasty, bro. The guy has crazy power in his hands, good striking, also very high level grappler. I just think that Julius Walker is unfortunately kind of getting sacrificed here. I don't see a world where he pulls off the win here. So Yakayev is the pick for me. How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, just you hit the nail on the head. Yagayev he's clean wherever the fight goes, and unfortunately, these fights got to happen every once in a while. It's not the nice guy, ultimate nice guy championship, you know. Otherwise, Julius Walker, he'd be a champion, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Yagayev probably KO.
All right, moving on. Let's skip that fight. We have Abus Magomedov versus Michel Olejniczuk. I'm gonna be honest. I'm picking Magomedov. I'm picking Abus, but I'm not extremely confident. The reason I like Abus here is because I think he is the more technical striker here. I do think that he also is the better wrestler grappler here. The only thing about Olejniczuk that kind of worries me is the power. Um, Also, if Abus does have to grapple here, I am a little worried about his cardio. I don't think he's going to be able to do that for 3 straight rounds. But I'm going to take him as the pick. 4-inch reach advantage. He is 35 though. So I'd be very cautious here. If you're going to bet this fight, I don't know. If you're going to bet this fight, I would say Abus decision. Or Olejniczuk by finish. Those are like the two methods that I see playing out. But how do you see this fight going?
I don't know. I almost feel like certain this is going the distance. It's rubbing me. I'm getting big decision vibes just because I don't know. It's two power strikers that are gonna gas is how I see it, and they're both gonna probably blow their load and not get a finish and end up just picking each other with jabs and small pop shots until the decision. A boost seems sharp, but I don't know. I know with Michelle going with fighting nerds and whatnot, who knows?
Yeah, in his last fight, he definitely looked a little bit more composed, but
Yeah.
we
Okay, that was
will.
power bar, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I see Olajay maybe squeaking one by on a decision. I could see that.
See, I feel like if it goes to decision, I think Abus gets it only because I feel like Abus is the more
He's
technical
cleaner.
striker. Yeah. Whereas like Michelle, he kind of just is hoping to knock you out. If he doesn't knock you out, like it's probably going to be a L. Like he almost lost that Marc-Andre Barriot fight. Obviously, he knocked out Mearshart. He knocked out Cedric Dumas, but he lost to Shara. He got that nasty armbar. He lost to the nasty armbar against Kevin Holland. And then he also got submitted by Michel Pereira. So it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like if he can't knock you out, he's probably going to lose. Dustin Jacoby, same thing. Dustin Jacoby just outstruck him because he's the more cleaner kickboxer. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen here with the boost, but we'll see. Sometimes the boost doesn't have the best fight IQ. So
That's the thing. I always have like terrible. Anytime I think of him, I think of terrible visuals I've had of him gassing.
yeah. But I mean, also like a boost. Who has he lost to in the UFC so far? He lost to Joe
Sean
Piper, which is
Strickland, Pfeiffer, yeah.
yeah, and then Kyle Braulio. Like 3 guys that are literally in the top 10. So I don't know. None of them are, or I'm saying all 3 of them are, upper echelon compared to Olejniczuk. So I don't know. Abus is the pick here, but I don't know if I put money on that. Moving on, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. This fight to me is odd because I thought Aliskerov was going to be like a real contender, and then he just went out there and got absolutely starched. And then Bruno Ferreira, every single fight of his is like, he's either going to hit you and you're going to fall, and he's either going to club and sub, or he's getting like brutally knocked out. I feel like I don't know, man. This is a very, very volatile fight. Obviously, we saw Bruno get knocked out by RoboCop in his last fight. Before that, he beat Marvin Vettori, he beat Jackson McVeigh, and he beat Armin Petrosian. So, like, those fights aren't. I don't know. He also got submitted by a boost. So, like, I don't hold Bruno, very high. Um, on the other hand, Ikram Aliskerov, you know, he beat Jun Young Park. He got the KO against Muniz, which I thought that was pretty impressive because he looked very clean in that fight. But when he got knocked out by Whitaker, it was kind of like a goofy. I don't know, bro. It almost looked like the Ilya fight. Like he went out there and just didn't respect Whitaker, and he paid the ultimate price for it.
Fast.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Alex Gurov is probably going to be the more technical fighter here, but Bruno has crazy power, so I don't know, man. It's a very volatile fight, but for the sake of having a pick, I'm gonna go with Ikram Aliskerov. How do you see this fight going?
If this fight was to take place 6 months from now, I think it would be harder for me to pick because I do like Bruno and whatnot, but Bruno just got knocked out bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to side well with Ikram. I think Ikram he's probably going to get a KO, and yeah, I hate that because I do like Bruno Ferreira. I like people that they go out and they're fighting. They're throwing down. They're not. Then that's how his style is. It's just brute force and ignorance, and it's unfortunate, but that's not going to bode well for him against Ikram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that KO was 3 months ago, so it is kind of recent. But moving on, we have Asu Almabayev versus Charles Johnson. Energy. Um, I'm a big Charles Johnson fan. I can't lie. I like the guy. He's he's a character, bro. Like I love the hair. That shit's hilarious to me. I love that he's so confident with it. Like he doesn't care what other people think. He also has a win over the current champion, KO. Um, but the thing that worries me here is Asu Almabayev has very good wrestling and his striking. He also has some decent power. Um, The thing I'm a bit scared of is that Charles Johnson is coming off that KO loss, or I'm sorry, not the KO loss. He's coming off a win to Bruno Silva, but before that, he was KO'd by Alex Perez, which, like, I don't know, bro. Getting knocked out by Alex Perez at this point in Perez's career isn't the greatest look. So I don't know, man. I want to take Charles Johnson, but I am very, very cautious because I just don't know if that chin is going to hold up. Um, on the other hand, Asu Almabayev just beat Alex Perez, submitted him, which I will say, I think Almabayev was losing that fight, if I recall, right?
Yeah, it wasn't because I had a Sue, and I remember thinking I was like, God, I hope he pulls something up. And then in round 3, he got a submission quick.
Yeah, but he was like, up to that point, I'm pretty sure he was losing.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was getting outstruck. And Alex Perez, again, at this point in his career, if you're losing to him or getting dominated to him, like, it's not the best look. All due respect to Alex Perez, but, like, you know, I'm pretty sure he just retired.
I think so.
So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, before that, Almabayev beat Jose Ochoa, which Jose Ochoa, very, very tough fight. That guy's another tough prospect. He got knocked out by Manuel Kape, though. So, honestly, his last loss, not a bad loss whatsoever. It's Manuel Kape. Charles Johnson, his last loss, kind of bad. I'm going to have to just go with my gut and say Almabayev is going to pull it off. But never count Charles Johnson out, man. Like, my heart says Charles Johnson, but my brain is picking Almabayev. So, I really hope Charles Johnson pulls it off. How do you see this fight going?
I don't know. Not having the odds in front of me, I would assume that Johnson is the underdog and Amabai is the favorite. And I think that would make sense with that logic,
Mm-hmm.
And I pick Almabayev.
All right.
Sorry about that. So, but yeah, I can see Almabayev definitely getting the win, but Johnson, he's made a career off of upsetting people and getting the wins that he's not supposed to, and whatnot. So it's, I mean, a Johnson KO is definitely always worth a sprinkle, I feel like, but Asu's the pick.
Yeah, Almabayev's a 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm not gonna lie, I'm rooting for Charles, so I hope he pulls it off. But also, I was looking significant reach advantage, 5 inch, and he's also 5 inches taller than him. So Charles
Yeah,
Johnson is significantly bigger than this dude. But moving
that could be a
on, we
problem.
have we have Nazim Sadikov versus Camilo. I'm not gonna lie, Camilo in his last fight, he looked kind of exposed. Like when he came in, I thought that this guy was gonna be you know a real contender because he kind of looked like that. But he got submitted by Gabe Green, which respect to Gabe Green, but Gabe Green's not fighting for a belt anytime soon. Um, he got a win over Borshev. Again, it went to the decision. I mean, for a guy that's Brazilian, it would seem like the game plan is to go out there and get Slavaklaus down and submit him. Camilo just couldn't do it. Nazim Sadikov, on the other hand, I was extremely high on him. Like, I thought this guy was going to be fighting for a belt within the next year or two. And then he went out there and lost to Zion. Obviously, Zion, very, very tough fight. The guy is extremely talented. He's good everywhere. And he has also, rattled off a couple of good wins. But this is a fight where I think Nazim Sadikov is just going to get a major upset. Or not upset, I'm sorry, because he is favored, I believe. I think it's going to get an extremely dominant performance. I think he's going to knock out Camilo. And I'm excited for this fight, dude, because it's in Azerbaijan, which is where Nazim's, family is from. I think that this is another perfect opportunity for him to get a dominant finish in front of his people. He did it the last time he was in Azerbaijan, and I think it's going to happen again here. How do you think the fight goes?
No, I think it's very well said. I think whenever you have, because this is like the, I think, second or third year that they're trying to come back to Azerbaijan. They've had Fiziev headline and yet another card there. They're trying to really get that footing going. I think they need to have their boys winning and whatnot. And what a way to make a statement for that for Sadikov.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited because it kind of sucked to see him lose in his last fight, but again, it's against one of the best guys in the division, so no harm, no foul. I think this is a good bounce back opportunity for him. But moving on, we have Shara Magomedov versus Michelle Pereira. I'm gonna be honest. I think that Shara is just gonna school on this dude. I think he's gonna either knock him out in the first round or second round. I just haven't been impressed with Michelle Pereira lately. Um, since he's stayed at middleweight, I thought it was gonna help him because obviously the weight cuts to welterweight were clearly just too much of a weight cut for him. His chin was pretty exposed, but going into middleweight, I don't know, man. He got knocked out by Kaldakis, which was a pretty brutal knockout in the first round. He goes out there and has an extremely boring fight against Zach Reese, where they were both. It seemed like they were both scared of each other, like they were scared of each other's power. Which I can't relate. I haven't been in there, but like at the same time, have some confidence. Go into the cage, thinking you're gonna do something against this guy. Zach Reese fight, it just felt like they were both too worried. Pretty boring performance. Um, Shara, this dude, he's looked good, man. The only loss he had was against Michael Venom Page, which is a very, very tricky style, so I don't fault him there. He beat Marc-Andre Barriault in his last fight. He knocked out Armin Petrosian. He knocked out, he beat Olajayshuk by decision, and he knocked out Tricoli. I think that this is another layup fight. I think that Shara Magomedov is going to go out there. He's going to look extremely dominant, and he's going to get the finish pretty fast. How do you see this fight going?
Pirate's gonna get his booty, yo.
Hey, yo, pause.
Nah, but for real. But for real though, I personally I picked Reese in that last fight. I felt like Reese was winning that fight against Michelle. And then I felt like, I mean, granted, when you leave it to the judges and it's that kind of a close of a fight, you can't really bitch too much. But I really want fucking Michelle or Shara to go out there and starch Michelle. Michelle's been on the bad like downhill for a while for me, like in terms of liking him, and I don't know. I want Pirate to get a KO. He has everything to gain from this fight. Michelle's got name value.
I agree. Moving on, we have the main event. We have Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Um, I've been thinking about this fight for a couple days now, and I've been kind of back and forth, but my gut's telling me Miguel Torres is going to get it done. I just think that Fiziev, he's slowing down. He's getting older. Um, Obviously, he's originally from Azerbaijan. Um, this would be like fairy tale for him to go out there and get a finish in front of his people. But looking at his last 5, the dude has lost 4 of them. He got knocked out brutally by Mauricio Hufi. He did win the decision against Bahamondes. He lost the decision to Justin Gaethje. I don't know what he did, tore his ACL or something against Gamrot. And then before that, he lost another decision to Justin Gaethje. Do I think he's the cleaner striker? Yes, I do think that he is probably the prettier striker. I just don't know if he's going to be able to handle the power of Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres, he knocked out Grant Dawson. He knocked out Drew Dober. Really, his only loss in his last 5 was to Bahamondes, which in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst L. Like Nacho is, Nacho's tough, but at the odds, it's a damn near pick 'em. I like Manuel Torres. I think eventually he's going to find the chin. He also is a pretty good grappler, so give me Manuel Torres for the pick. I think he gets this done probably 3rd or 4th round by KO. How do you see this fight going?
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's a quick KO for him, and I think it's maybe just because I keep thinking about that Grant Dawson fight. But I don't know. If he touches you, it seems like you die.
Yeah, but like respectfully, Fiziev is a lot more durable than Grant Dawson. Like we've seen Grant Dawson take big shots and instantly just ball up. Fiziev's not going to do that. Fiziev is going to take some damage. Like he's going to be in there unless you knock him unconscious like Hufi did. But
and that's part of why I feel like I don't know. I feel like even though the different like stances or whatnot, he feels like he has a similar like physique to me as Hufi, like just tall, lanky, just I don't know. I definitely agree. Torres KO, hope that feels right, but I don't know if it's just because of Hufi getting it done in one and Fiziev getting up there and I don't know I guess kind of lack of activity. I know he's been like injury related and he's been relatively active since coming back, but it's been like for losses and shit. So I don't know. I definitely agree Torres KO though.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, that was your UFC Azerbaijan card. We broke down a majority of the bigger fights. We skipped some of like the newcomers and whatnot, but I was excited to talk about that Manuel Kape card with you, and hopefully you guys enjoyed our breakdowns this week. Hopefully we have a similar record as to what we did last week. Thank you guys again for tuning in. This was a shorter episode, so obviously we're not going to have MMA news this week, but I'm excited for International Fight Week coming up. That's going to be a big card, which we will also have a pretty big episode for. We will break down probably every fight on that card. And yeah, thank you guys again for watching. We will see you guys next time, and make sure if you don't already, please subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. You can see it right there on the banner at the Corner Talk MMA. See you guys next week.
This